this now for Shaxy and SamuelTsao. It's been an interesting road for both of these players, I think it's fair to say. SamuelTsao, for a good few weeks, was really the only other contender, along with Blood Trail down at the bottom, of players who could even be relegated. Right. But given that he's had a much, much stronger last few weeks, I think still a couple of blips along the way. You know, he's messed up a couple plays, but for the most part, I've really liked his play a lot more in the second half of Grandmasters. He's now eclipsed, like you said, Flurry and even Rivius, some very, very strong players, to get into a position where he could definitely get, into that top 4 spot.
Yeah, and it's good, like you said, it's just going to be a good match either way, because it literally is the player that wins gets top 4 and the player that doesn't does not. But it's one thing to note, as you said, with just the performances of both players, they are going to be kind of punished for their performance across Grandmasters, because whoever makes that top 4 spot is going to go in with that disadvantage that, you know, us and Tyler were just talking about. So they go into the group stage with an auto loss, so then they can only lose one more time and then they're out, and that's it. So it's going to be a disadvantage, but even with a disadvantage, you know, one arm tied behind your back, you'd still rather be in the fight than not.
You absolutely would, and it just gives them such a good chance at getting through to BlizzCon, which is really, again, what this is all about. After next week, we'll be playing our top 4 in each group of playoffs, trying to figure out who will get through to our finals on the Sunday, where we'll have 4 players in our semi-finals and finals, where 1 player will be sent to BlizzCon to be joining Surrender.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. But I guess we can check out Shaxy and SamuelTsao's deck list pretty soon. We'll throw them up for you. There we go. And we see the Priest not shielded from Shaxy, but got away with being able to play it anyway. He has his Druid shielded instead, with SamuelTsao going for what I'd say is just the standard Priest shield into the Druid band out. So what do you make of what's shaken out after these picks and bans?
So Shaxy, thank you, Ravenicus Maximus, going for the ban on the Druid is something we're seeing, I think, less and less, it's fair to say, here in Grandmasters, with the Druid not being the most popular of bans. It's usually like the Warrior or the Hunter, it feels like, after the Priest is usually protected. But looking at Shaxy's lineup, it does surprise me a little bit that he's going for the ban on the Druid. I guess the main thing, actually, taking a closer look at it, is the fact that he has there, as you can see, Malygos Druid. Is really the breaking point, because most players are going for regular Quest Druid, whereas I think it's fair to say that Malygos Druid is pretty horrible against regular Quest Druid.
And also I think Druid's actually just pretty solid versus Holy Wrath Paladin as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
I definitely don't think it's bad in any means, because the idea is you can draw pretty quick yourself as a Druid, and if you just make boards that they have to clear, well, Paladins are cutting more and more AoE clear, and it's not a matchup where you can afford to say, oh, I'll just shrink ray pass, because then if Cenarius comes down, or, you know, X buff or Zephyrus into Bloodlust, well, that's tons of damage that you can just kill you, and a lot of time it's a level of damage that you can't expect to play a timeout into. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to time out in case, because then they just don't do it, and do it the next turn, you're dead anyway. A little bit awkward.
But on the other side, for SamuelTsao, a lot more standard, I think it's fair to say, of a lineup here. He really has what is considered the 4 most standard decks. In addition to these 3, he of course has the Druid, which was banned out, shielding the Priest, very, very standard stuff. The only real difference, I suppose you could call in terms of the standard lineup, would be that in Asia Pacific, I suppose you could say that Highlander Hunter is arguably more popular than the Quest Shaman, maybe, which seems to have fallen down in popularity a little bit. But even so, very, very safe stuff for SamuelTsao.
Yeah, and I think, again, I spoke to a few players before this weekend, you know, especially the players that had something on the line. And it was very much, I felt way more players lent towards, oh, I'm just going to play the 4 decks, or the 4 standard, or whatever they deemed their standard lineup to be. Because I was asking players, oh, is this the week? You know, the week that decides playoffs, is this the week where you know, pull something out of the back pocket and just take a series because of something unexpected? And most of them were like, nope, just going to play the standard stuff. And I think partly maybe that's just my own thoughts on things, but even taking standard stuff is quite brave, because you're relying purely on your play at that point. You may think you gain certain edges in certain matchups, but really, if you just say to all the players, look, bring the best decks, then it's just whoever wins. You know, there's no edge really outside of trying to outplay your opponent. So we'll see how it turns out. Shaxy on the top on the Druid, the Goose, and SamuelTsao on the Warrior.
And I get the suspicion, I may be wrong, it's been known before, the Warrior does not like this matchup very much.
I don't believe so, and if it does, it's wrong. Mainly, well, okay.
What can go... Because, okay, so the baseline is druid does so much damage, the warrior could not dream without armoring it.
Yes, because regardless of you say, oh, well, they can armor up more because of tech for Holy Wrath Paladin, it's like, right, you don't understand how much damage druid can do.
It's like 60
it's like upwards
easily.
of 60 plus, yeah, depending on how insane you go with the Elise Floop. And I think the current builds with nods to Holy Wrath Paladin probably do worse, because the matchups I've struggled the most are matchups where they go 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, 4 drop, 5 drop. Because then, well, you don't do anything for the first 4 turns, so you get beaten up.
Yeah.
So then you start having to use, say, Floop to defend, and say play a secondary Surger with Floop, and so on. And you might get to a point where you can't play a Florist to reduce something in hand because you're paying 7 mana for a 4/4 that doesn't have Taunt. So those are the games where I've had most trouble against Warrior as Druid or as Malygos Druid. But I honestly think with like people playing double Weapons Project, double Dynamatic,
Cutting the Devastators.
Yeah, cutting Devastators, cutting just some of the more general aggressive play. The Taunt package is good, but again, I think I'd still rather be Shaxy at this point.
SamuelTsao pre-equipping the weapon, I would have to imagine, to try and get a play with Harrison Jones on the following turn. I'm okay with that. We were talking about trying to get stats on the board as quick as possible, and coin Harrison feels like probably the best way that SamuelTsao has to do that.
Yeah, and that's a big draw there for Shaxy. And it's a big draw for 2 reasons, right? Reason 1, Nourish is a good card in Druid.
I agree.
You want to play it on turn 5 or 6, depending. Also, though, against specifically Warrior, where it can become likely that you do the multiple Elise with Floops into multiple versions of Moonfire and Malygos, means that you want Nourish long gone from the game. Because if you have Nourish in your hand late game, and then you have to copy
everything
it,
up.
you either play it to overdraw and burn yourself with Fatigue, or it stays in hand, but then takes progressively more and more slots where you can't spam Moonfires. So just having one already there to play is great, because you struggle the most when you've got like Nourish, Starfall or something in your bottom 3 cards, and you're like, so now I have to spend turns either playing these or use them as slots in my hand to duplicate.
It's kind of like the old brawls in Dead Man's Hand where you just kept shuffling them in over and over and they just multiplied. But even worse. So it is, of course, a huge deal. Because, I mean, I think it's fair to say at the moment that Shaxy, outside of a Crystal Merchant at the start, has pretty much the dream hand. Just having Nourish at the start and a couple of Surges.
I think not seeing an aggressive opening from SamuelTsao, which is a nod to the deck list and his hand, I guess, because you could still play, say, Snip Snap. You can get the rush minions down anyway.
Right.
But that combined with his hand, yes, it's very good for Shaxy, because he's not needed any early game.
Looks to me, though, interestingly enough, on the other side of the board for SamuelTsao, looks like he's prioritizing a slightly more armor gain, defensive approach to the matchup, and I feel like that's unlikely to work.
Okay, there are things that can go wrong for Shaxy that is in no one's control.
Okay.
As an example, it's hard to hit exactly Malygos with the Florist, which is how you open up the ludicrous amounts of damage, because it at least copies a 2-mana Malygos, which is insane.
That's where you start.
That's where you start doing like
the sun.
Easy 60+ damage, right? But you normally play Florist when you have other cards in hand. If it hits Floop, it's kind of pointless because it doesn't work. And then if it hits Elise, it's good. But the Elise one is more good in the quicker matchups, because you can play a 9-mana Malygos, Elise in the same turn, and then Moonfire for just 24 damage, which is often enough. In this one, though, it's doable if they armor up quite easily.
Right.
But the extremes do rely on the Florist. So again, there'll be some nods to keep an eye on how Shaxy gets rid of the other minions in his hand. Because at least being 0 mana, not perfect, but fine. But
I'd take that.
Hitting Floop's super annoying, and just random other minions that happen to still be in your hand, you definitely don't want to hit those. Because Florist is never living for more than one turn against Warrior.
I guess the exception to this rule could, of course, be, well, I was going to say that Geppetto can give you, of course, 1 mana Malygos,
Very true.
which changes. That's where you go like.
Oh, you just break the game.
Infinity Stones level of power. Yeah, you can just snap them out of existence.
Yeah.
But picking up the Malygos there, it's not even like that's bad necessarily, because of course after the Surge is played, you can just reduce the Malygos.
That's what I'm saying. It's pretty good with this hand as long as
Yeah.
he doesn't draw any more minions. If he can reduce this Malygos to 2, the game just ends. Especially because he has board control, right? Shaxy's under no threat of danger whatsoever. I love it as well.
Man.
Once you get to the point where you just go like, I've got 6 Moonfires, 3 Malygos. Like, you are just very dead. I don't think your health total may as well say any number. You're just dead.
Yeah. It is interesting to me how quickly we seem to forget how good the cards got, how good Druid cards were released in the recent expansions. Like, Druid got some nutty powerful cards, especially in the Boomsday project. Like, if you think Floop and Dream Petal Florist, insane. Even Elise is a crazy powerful card.
What's Druid gaining in the booster?
It's gaining Kun the Forgotten King, which is very powerful. That's going to be insane.
3/7/7 plus armor.
That's the card. The other one, Astral Communion, bit of a meme for the most part, I think. Unless you're an Octasari gamer. I'm not making the joke. I'm not making the joke. Yeah, okay, that's the safe one.
There are many. Octasari's got a lot to answer for right now.
Exactly. But the problem is now, of course, for SamuelTsao, despite the fact that he has a pretty staggeringly aggressive hand, given how non-aggressive the deck is overall.
It feels like all the minions in his deck.
Exactly, he's drawn all the minions, all the taunts as well, really, in the Tomb Wardens and the Armageddillo. It's just not good enough, because Shaxy, obviously, even though he's running low on draw with only a Wrath in hand, that means that his hand is all removal, which means, brilliant, the aggressive push never works.
Honestly, I think Shaxy's worries are in this priority. Please do not draw a minion next turn, so this Florist is just ultimate god levels.
Yeah.
And then next priority is, SamuelTsao, can you just play some stuff so I can play these Starfalls?
Yeah.
And just get them out of the hand, because you want your hand to be as empty as... You literally want your hand to be Elise, Moonfire, Floop, Malygos. And sometimes, again, if Malygos is hit, you don't even need Floop.
Yeah, very
Because you
possibly,
can just end up doing the Elise into double cheap Malygos, and maybe you have swipes.
There's usually like one piece of the combo that you can do without.
Just play it, Shaxy.
Oh yeah, I mean, you... Oh wait, you mean just play the Dream Petal?
Yeah?
Yeah. I was looking at if you ever go double Wrath to sneak the 10 to face.
You could draw a minion.
Oh, would you ever rather just...
Guaranteed 2 mana Malygos.
I mean, you know the deck better than me, so I'll take your word for it.
I think going face for 5 versus 10 when you make Malygos 2, which opens up 18 bajillion damage, is worth it.
All right.
It's just so... This is the most powerful thing the deck can do.
I think you're probably right, yeah.
And now all Shaxy has to do, honestly, is survive, what, a few turns and not die? Honestly, that's literally it. He just has to just not randomly die.
And with 2 Starfalls in hand.
Yeah, that's what I mean. SamuelTsao's just dead.
Easy peasy. Still, of course, got the second Nourish knocking about in the deck.
Yep.
Don't know why I went a bit fools and horses there. And the Rat to draw through to it as well.
Do you like Faulty Towers?
I love Faulty Towers.
I thought you would, okay.
Yeah. One of my favourite shows.
I didn't realise until, I say recently, this was a few years ago,
Right.
But because I grew up watching, my parents watched it
Yeah,
and stuff. I didn't realise it's what, 7, 8, is it 8 or 9 episodes?
Yeah, it's only 2 series
it's so
of, like,
short.
5
Yeah,
episodes.
it's super short. And for some reason, obviously when I was younger, I didn't really pay over attention to it. But I thought, oh yeah, this is just super long. I thought it was like Simpsons, just a million episodes.
Yeah.
Then I realised when I watched it again, a bit older, I was like, oh, that's a shame. This was a good show.
I know, but
They are good episodes, though.
That's the thing. That's the thing I like about English shows is they end while they're good. Exactly. Keep it condensed down to the good stuff.
And again, with the like I said with the Malygos, although Floop makes things uber powerful because of almost infinite Elise usage, you don't need it if you hit the Malygos because you can stuff like Elise to get 2 Malygos, then like Mali, Moonfire, 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 swipe, and you know like do stuff like that.
So I'm going to go ahead and guess that playing the Malygos here is the throw play.
Yes.
You don't do that.
No.
Right. Okay.
There's no reason. 37-9 now. It's like that's actually right. Is like 2 health. May as well be. Imagine this deck with Emperor Thorson.
Would you even play it? Is it like... I wonder, because does the deck just do enough... Is it enough damage already? Because it's not like you need it to do the combos, right?
Definitely not. But is it... I wonder if it's just good enough because the deck's full of cards?
That is usually a reason why
dumb.
Emperor is good. Well, no,
My point
I think
is,
that's
like,
a good point, is that we've kind of forgotten that Emperor was just strong.
Yes.
It didn't need to serve
like
a specific
4 mana
purpose.
Starfalls, 3 mana swipes, 1 mana wraths when they do all of the double abilities.
Right.
Like, now your cards, you choose ones, do both, and cost 1 mana less.
Like, we were playing it in random garbage, like mid-range Paladin. It was there for a while, right? Just because it was reasonably strong.
I guess my question is, if you can fit Geppetto in this deck, can you fit Emperor?
A 1 mana 1/1 Emperor, or reducing 1/1s with Emperor.
My point was like instead of.
Oh right.
I mean, like, if there's a slot for Geppetto, surely that could be replaced with Emperor.
Maybe. We shall have to see.
I guess this is the leaning towards the bad outcomes for Shaxy is just no card draw is a little bit annoying right now.
I mean, you just pass and you win the game, right?
I think so.
He doesn't have to do anything. I think it would be wrong to do anything.
He could just start using these Starfalls. I wouldn't be overly upset.
I guess you want to start getting rid of them.
Because you need space. You need space.
Yeah. Okay. Because of that reason. Yeah.
And he can Starfall the Acolyte, and then oh no, he gains 4 armor. Like that should be fine.
My thinking was just that like the one way that maybe he loses is because there's too much stuff on board and he can't clear it with Starfall. But that honestly sounds like a something you don't even really need.
It would literally have to be like boom, Omega Assembly, the 3 best mechs in the world.
Yeah.
You know, like that exact chain of events would have to happen.
Yeah, I don't even know what mechs you could get that would present that threat.
I think Shaxy should get rid of some of this hand though, even if it's just a Starfall.
Just a Starfall, yeah. Starfall bees.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass though.
I think honestly it is mostly inconsequential.
We could get like... Because there's still Geppetto, right? So Geppetto's going to get Elise. There's Floop, which kind of is pointless.
Yeah.
But there is some good cards Geppetto can get. And now I think Shaxy wishes he played the Starfall.
Well, we're still looking at, to be fair, Starfall...
Because it's a double Starfall.
Double Starfall, yeah, or Starfall Innovate Nourish. I guess double Starfall's probably just better.
Just get rid.
Yeah.
Because bear in mind as well, Shaxy's on 44 health himself. Like, he's not exactly going to get 2 turned.
Oh, this is so clean. Look at this. Shaxy is Mr. Clean.
Think about swipe and just letting the 5 live.
Why?
Because he could Starfall next turn.
Can he swipe next turn? Anyways? Swipe can go face.
I mean, he could still swipe face and Starfall next turn. I was just thinking.
I'm getting the impression from the way we're talking that you could do literally anything as long as he doesn't play the melee and win the game.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This next Tomb Warden now is annoying for Shaxy because it's just stuff.
Shaxy can almost feel it through his armor.
But I think because he has Nourish now, he should be able. Even he can just pop Innovate. He can just Innovate Nourish.
He can just
if he really wanted to, yeah. He can just rip Evade.
Rip a fat Vate in this situation.
Well, there's.
Oh. Is this lethal? No, you can't play the second swipe. He's getting close, though, honestly. I guess you just wait for the Elise and do the stupid stuff.
Is dumb. Because you just... Again, what helps as well is Malygos is far left, so he can at least floop Elise and then get like triple Malygos.
It's literally like the 5 good cards.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
The only unfortunate thing is the Moonfire is so far over the second Moonfire. So like bees this turn, I guess.
Yeah, you never play the floop. I mean, you don't need floop here though, right? Like it's just floop's just worse Malygos. Oh, you might need
because you floop in
Elise.
Elise. Yeah. You floop in as Elise in this style.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the fun of the deck, though. There's like 20 different ways to combo your opponent, dependent on scenario. So you have to. That's what makes the deck hard.
Yeah.
The second you, again, like for a split second, you just play the floop, and you're like, oh wait, I did need it. Oh no, I've lost. Like,
okay.
So I like this.
This I like.
Get ready your hands.
Second innovate. Oh, sorry. Second swipe. You don't need, right? You'll be copying them so much. It's just 100% not necessary.
You're gonna make at least 2 Malygos, which means you can't swipe twice.
You probably can't even swipe once because you were doing so many Moonfires and Malygos.
Well, I think the idea now will be Mally, swipe Moonfires.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's just 10 mana.
Oh.
Yep.
How much damage even is that?
A million! It just doesn't matter. The number just doesn't matter.
I mean, he's at 50. Does it...
Each Moonfire does 16!
Yeah.
And he will have 6! Yeah. And a swipe.
Can he get to that scenario, though? He does have a slightly weird-shaped hand.
He
with
does. The
Geppetto
is kind of annoying.
But what happens if he was just to play Elise next turn? Like, he'd get...
1, 2, 3, 4,
good
5,
cards.
7... He'd not get an extra Moonfire, and then he'd have 2 Geppettos, so if he Elises again, it kind of busts him. It is tricky. Depends what this next draw is, I suppose.
He is also almost down to his starting health total. God forbid.
Wait, does he still have a Nubasath?
One Anubiseth left in the deck? He's definitely played one.
What if he just...
Because, I mean, at least
What if he just Geppettos this turn? Does he just take a bad turn? He could also do
He needs to start spending his mana proactively on good stuff.
Could he do this a weird way? Elises? Yeah, he could do this weird.
What happens?
He can Elise, not this turn specifically.
Right.
He could Elise 1 Malygos.
That changes the floop to a Malygos, though.
It does, but then you
Is
have...
that okay?
But then you have 2 Malygos in hand.
Right.
Because you have the Elise one that's 2 mana, and then you have the flooped one. So then the next turn, you have... So you do that to, say, clear and push damage with swipe or whatever. Or like Moonfires. And then the next turn you can Mally swipe Moonfires.
Okay.
It's something you can do.
Yeah.
So it means that if he's facing down lethal,
he can
clear the minion and he doesn't just throw away all his Malygos.
Sure, yeah.
It's tricky though. I think he does have to play Geppetto this turn though. It's going to take 1 bad turn. Plays a taunt in the way as well, why not?
And honestly, it feels like he doesn't really know how to approach this. Or he doesn't feel confident to me that he knows what he's doing.
It's this 11-16, right? If this was
That's the
just
one
any other regular minion size, he'd be like, yeah, this is fine.
To be fair, he's been facing down literally no minion pressure for the entire game. I think he can stomach this.
God, I'm so unlucky.
My opponent, with 5 cards left in their deck, drew Snip Snap.
How dare they? Shaxy, I hope his head down is him putting together the pieces of the puzzle. Because I will say about this deck, and something that could easily happen, it is very easy to mess up.
Oh, yeah.
So many times I've clicked a card, played it, and gone, GG. And I just shame conceded because I just forgot about something. Or I've burnt Moonfires by accident so I didn't work out the Elise maths.
Oh, I love that fuse thing.
Wondering about the shield slam. Is it worth it to protect his minion? It's probably more valuable to kill off a Malygos, but I guess he has Brawl.
And also, there's a point where you think if your opponent's playing Malygos, you're dead.
They've won.
So it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Oh, Shaxy's still alive for one more turn, but it is getting a little bit close.
The guy plays 2 Bs as well. He's got to do something.
So what does Elise do? There would be 7 cards left in hand, so he would only get 3 cards, which means it wouldn't copy Floop.
Okay, so if he plays Floop like this, then he plays Elise. He gets 2 Moonfires, he gets 4 Moonfires and 2 cheap Malygos.
Right.
Then he gets 2 swipes. So he can Mally, swipe, Moonfire, Moonfire, which is
That's
plus...
12 mana. He can...
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So we can go 1 swipe.
Yeah.
Which, like, 2
So it's
Malygos
plus
has to be
10,
better.
so that's 14. So that's 14 with the swipe. And then he has 4 Moonfires, 11 each. So that's 44, 50... Is that 55?
Which
I
is
just added that up wrong.
not good enough, right? Okay, so it's plus 10 to everything. So each Moonfire is 11,
Right,
which
so
is
44.
44
And
plus
then-
1 swipe, which is 14, so 55.
Right. And he's on 57. And he has swipe to follow up with.
Yeah. He might just die, though, is the problem.
No tune can hold me.
I'm good, like, full honesty here, I'm not much of a Malygos Druid player in this expansion. But surely Shaxy could have found a better way to approach this, right?
I
Like,
think
he had so much time.
I need to look at the hand again.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't work it out. But so, for me, there was a world where he could have not played Flute.
Yes.
Played the Elise first, and then went Mally, Fluped Mally. And then just done
few
that because you
Moonfires,
gain
yeah.
plus 5 on extra 1, which is more.
Maybe, yeah.
Unless I've just added it up wrong.
I mean, I don't think so. I think we added it up. We'll have to
Did
see.
he get enough armor? It's insane.
I think he just lost.
Yeah. That sucks. Not like it's actually pretty often in that spot with the Mally that you can triple Mally. And obviously, as you can see, if you have 3 Malygos, even just minus the
Oh.
swipe, it adds like a ton of damage.
Oh, no.
Wait, what?
Oh, it is lethal. We just miscounted.
Wait, how
then,
did
I
we-
guess. No, fair enough.
Did we just not that add up that correctly? 2 Mally, 14.
Each Mally is plus 5, so each Moonfire is
Yeah, we didn't
11
add it up right. So it's 44,
plus...
14.
Oh, yeah. 58. Yeah. 58, not 54. Yeah, sorry. We can't do maths. Oh, well, there we
I'm
go.
confused. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why would he even play this? Because you can just add it up and work it
Whatever,
out. It's not right.
whatever.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Shaxy takes a win there, and we're going to go to a break and work on our basic mathematical skills. They're going to decide what they're going to play, so we'll be right back with some more Hearthstone.
We've created a new home for all things Hearthstone eSports for both desktop and mobile users. From the homepage, you can find the latest articles, scores, and VODs. And from the navigation bar, you can find so much more. Here's how it works. Under the Grandmasters tab, you can view competitor profiles. Here you can see a player's top classes, recent decks, and watch their most recent series. You can also access the standings from this tab to help you understand where each player is in terms of playoff contention or relegation. On the schedule page, you can check the dates and times for every part of the Hearthstone Masters program. This includes the full calendar of Masters qualifiers, Masters Tour event pages, and the weekly schedule for Hearthstone Grandmasters. Looking to try your hand at the decks the pros are using? Simply click the eye on a Grandmasters match to see submitted deck lists. From here, hit the purple Copy Deck Code button and open Hearthstone to your collection. Then, create a new deck and simply answer the Create from Clipboard prompt in the affirmative. Finally, the News tab will show you Hearthstone eSports news exclusively. Dive into interviews with your favorite players and check back every so often to see what you've missed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the tavern.
We are back. There we go.
Hey.
I was eating on my break, I'm sorry. We are back and ready to go into Shaxy versus SamuelTsao into game number 2. And it is going to be the Warrior versus Paladin. So another intricate matchup to do with Warrior.
Yeah, and after the bit of the close game we saw there from Shaxy versus SamuelTsao, both players, I think are going to be on the edge of their seats. Because when it comes down to 1 damage over lethal, not 3 damage below lethal, as some idiots may have been led to believe.
Who would do that?
Who are those guys? Am I right? It does mean that we're going to end up in a situation where, again, this matchup does come down to a pretty similar situation. It feels like a lot of the time. Warrior versus Paladin, similarly to Warrior versus Malygos Druid, is pretty much, for the most part, purely about the Warrior trying to out-armor the Paladin and the Paladin trying to out-damage the Warrior's armor.
Yeah, and it's a weird one, right? Because I feel like if this matchup goes the way you would expect it to, then the Warriors should win because they just have such heavy armor game. And if that's the case, I wonder whether the ban should have been changed. Or depending on shields, of course. But like, if Warrior now consistently beats Paladin, and then there are other decks that could do quite well versus Paladin, maybe that's the scary thing.
You mean, what, the Paladin was a scary deck and should have been banned?
The Warrior.
Oh, right.
Like, maybe should have been banned out, if possible. Because it doesn't get shielded.
I don't think so, right? Because he has Malygos Druid, which is like a very good matchup. I think, honestly, this matchup I think is fine for the Paladin.
Okay.
I think especially with the way it's been played, where a lot of players I think have showed pretty decent misunderstanding of the matchup. You misplay.
That's fair.
Because it's not about what the true percentage of the matchup is. It's about what is your percentage going to be against your opponent. How are they likely to play against it?
Job done. Well, we've cast this one before, and the same rules apply. Any early damage from Shaxy is going to be pretty important, and just getting some chip through to try and make this damage add up a little bit more and get to those double Holy Wrath lethals, whereas SamuelTsao is just all going to be about the armor and the removal.
Let me think.
I hope you like my invention.
Also, just bear in mind as well, if SamuelTsao takes this win, we do believe he is going to be in the top 4. And if Shaxy takes it, he is going to be in top 4. Both going in at 4th, but especially because Tyler won.
Yep, very, very straightforward for these players. It's just whoever wins goes through to playoffs. And it was interesting to me reading something I didn't even really consider, reading a tweet from Monsanto just now about him yesterday, I believe, guaranteeing his qualification through to playoffs, where the thing he was tweeting about wasn't that, you know, he's more able to win prize money, more able to win the tournament overall in Grandmasters and get the glory. It was really just that he's happy to be able to compete in a new meta next week. He wants to be allowed to play with the new cards against the best players in the world.
Yeah.
Well, the best players in America.
Yeah. Big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah, because you know, some of the small print you didn't see is if you don't make it to playoffs, you don't get to play with the new cards. So yeah, all you people at home thinking you're going to be able to play with them, haha. I'm joking, of course, but you know, you are right. The competition won't be there unless you go to, I guess, Bucharest, which will be the week after.
That's right. And well, contrary to what you're saying about people not being allowed to play if they don't qualify through, everyone's allowed to play with the cards coming through from Wild for free.
Freebies!
What is it, 23 cards, I think, that are being
so.
brought out of Wild that you just get?
Yeah. I was stupid enough to have them anyway and not disenchant them. That's just wasted dust for now.
Not me. I've recently got to the level where I'm dusting all of my rare Wild cards. It takes hours.
The only wild cards I've dusted, because I've I think maybe not the. Maybe I do have the full wild set now.
Really?
But anyway, the only thing I ever dusted was all the gold versions.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I make a lot of gold cards, but I dust them all to give me a leg up in the following expansion.
I'm such a pleb. I don't have a single gold card. I almost don't have a single wild card.
At all?
Now. Well, I mean, I have the ones you get from leveling up, but I don't have. I think. Well, the only ones I have are gold and legendaries that I don't have regular versions of, so I may as well just keep them.
Disappointed. I have 2 full golden decks.
If Blizzard want to give me a super account, I won't complain.
They didn't give me a super account. I had to work, and more importantly, use my money for them.
Oh, always. Whenever I don't have something, it's always work for it. You know, earn it. Shut up, Dad.
You can tell the age difference between me and Derek kicking it already. Are you a millennial? Because I always get confused as to what age ranges these things are supposed to be
I think
included
I'm
in.
just a millennial. Like,
You're on the cusp.
I'm on the
You
cusp.
dip your toe in the camp.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, millennial almost doesn't even mean a certain age group anymore. It's just come to mean young people, right? Like, I think people
Right.
will call themselves millennials for like another 30 years, even though they're actually what, Gen Y? Gen Z? I can't remember.
People are
what-
just making
can't
stuff.
remember
Like,
what the
who's
term
making
is
these
now. Yeah.
names up as well?
All I know is I ain't no boomer. All right, I'll tell you that for free.
It's just weird, isn't it? Just making names up. I want to name the next one.
Babies. We're the babies.
Yeah, so I'm known as a rabid dinosaur. What? What's that even mean? I don't really know. I don't think anyone does. They just like calling groups of age ranges things.
Yeah, some guy called Alex came up with it. No idea why he was allowed, but
I think this is just as good a name as Gen Z. Whatever the heck it's called.
maybe we should go with Genji.
Well, there might be some copyright infringement issues going on there.
Job done.
Although you could argue it's a negative term for all the Genji mains
Yeah,
that no one
exactly.
likes.
It's
Oh,
what
he's
the
a
youth is
Genji
coming
main.
to now. All these young people, these whippersnappers, they're all Genji mains now. Back in my day,
Was Hanzo.
we were all toxic Hanzo mains. As you may be able to imagine, may be able to tell, for the most part here at the start, it is a not especially interactive matchup. It's really when you get through to the end that things get very, very interesting. Shaxy, though, I think has very much the right idea, making sure that these true silver charges all go directly to the dome.
There's a potential we might get to see, similar to Snorlax throughout the games, SamuelTsao go from quite horizontal by the looks of things to actually sat up by the end.
I have to bust out my poker flute and
do
bust a
jig in
tune.
song.
Yeah. Get SamuelTsao whipping and nay-naying like the Genji that he is.
Jeez. Shaxy just has that weird moment where he has card draw, but he doesn't have cards to actually just dump out of his hand outside of a Pyromancer.
Right.
So it's like, does he just Pyro? Does he just coin and just wait?
You kind of want to save the Pyro, given that this is only a quality
But then his turn
activator.
sucks. Then he just does nothing this turn.
His turn does suck. I won't disagree with that. Shaxy, of course, has to be careful, though, because even though he has Shivala and a Holy Wrath in hand, if he burns, any one of the 3 cards in his deck in 2 Baleful Bankers or 1 Holy Wrath, it's not game over, but it's huge percentage points that he's losing there. Which is why we're seeing him just burn the coin there to make sure that he 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cannot be overdrawn. So sure. I'm on board.
Now he's got timeouts to buy him some time, of course. The lens is going to be nice along with the flash of light, which means he is going to be able to, you know, get through maybe half the cards he's got left without anything else. The help of Mr. Acolyte, of course.
I wonder what the punish was there for going face. Like, letting it be healed up and then drawing more?
I guess.
Like,
Loses the death rattle on the board.
that's
though.
the thing. Like, the death rattle is probably not significant enough to make much of a difference, but I don't know. I guess you face damage just really doesn't matter all too much.
Does it protect the taunts from shrink rate trade?
Yeah, I think that might be the thing.
Is that
Or like
worth
a quality
more?
trade.
Yeah, is that worth more?
Maybe.
I guess so.
Yeah, like that's something. Whereas 2 damage to face is near to
Nothing.
nothing. It makes no difference. Yeah.
It just makes Shaxy have to aim at his own face with the flash of light. That's the impact it has.
Instead of his opponent's hero.
Some shrink rate and then just random card in the deck.
Did you just play the Archer while you can?
I want Archer face.
Yes.
Move quickly.
Correct.
Sir, the
Oh.
dominance. Yeah. Widow main over there. Shaxy.
That's my kind of Widow main, where 1 shot, 1 kill. They still have 31 32ths of their health left remaining.
Is it 30 teeth?
30 teeth of their health remaining. That's right, 30 wump, 30 teeth.
Now, I will say,
Yeesh.
SamuelTsao's armor does not look as high as I expect it to look at this point in the game.
It does not.
It's just, got that 3 armor, I'm back up to 33th. The worst part is when you say the next point of armor, it kind of makes sense.
34. Yeah, okay.
You're
fair
like,
enough.
oh, it's less fun now. It's not. It's not silly.
Whereas before it was uproariously hilarious.
Just imagine all the ha-has in Twitch chat.
Yeah, the difference really has been that Shaxy has got, I think, 2 swings of True Silver through to face over the course of this game, which is huge. Never want to let that happen as the warrior. And also, SamuelTsao has missed armor on a few occasions, right? You know, he went for Tomb Warden on 8 instead of Hero Power. Whereas, I don't know. I don't think it's always necessarily quite so obvious, is there?
Elysiana into heal cards? Question mark. Oh, imagine
If the game's getting that rough, then it's the kind of thing you may need to consider as a Hail Mary.
they should have put in the new set of cards, the event cards. Antique heal bot.
Why?
Why not? It's a card.
It was busted?
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be that busted now.
It wouldn't be that busted now.
By the way, it was Buster's response, but Flamewaker, Emperor, Sylvanas. they all made the cut.
Yeah, I guess they were mostly busted. I have to say, though, I'm really glad they're adding in ridiculously good cards rather than, like, I don't know, I can't even think of a bad card. Colosseum Manager or poor cards like that. That was a bad card.
Again, though, SamuelTsao only on 35 health just scares me because Shaxy's about to combo him. He's about to wrath him once, wrath him twice, and that should just be the game. Also, SamuelTsao hasn't landed a mech and doesn't have a playable one from hand to join onto the Zilliax for the attacks. This just feels like SamuelTsao's not been allowed to play the game.
It does. Do we feel that Shaxy should have swung face with the weapon there and just taken his 4 damage before Weapons Project comes down?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
What's the punish for not doing? He's not
I'm
gonna...
almost out of cards.
No one could see Derek's face then, but it very, very accurately summed up my feelings and emotions at not using Weapons Project to kill a weapon. Yeah.
Interesting.
Falling back on the old caster phrase.
It's ironic now. It's
equals
ironic.
bad.
Well, so what's his thinking? Zephyrus is in the deck. That can get Tyrion. You want to be able to overwrite the Ashbringer. That's more important.
Can't get Tyrion if you're already dead.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Ashbringer can't hit you if you are already buried.
I mean, it probably could, but it's not sportsmanlike.
Yeah, that's just a bit overkill.
Yeah. Right. Tyrion, calm down.
It's like, buy the light. It's like, Tyrion, we've won. Buy the light. It's like, Tyrion, stop it. I've told you about this. That's why you're not actually in the deck.
Let me think.
So, Shaxy, I will confess I do not know exactly what the last card... Oh, it's Banker.
Yes, it has to be Banker, right?
And there's no need for him to... Yeah, so basically, Shaxy's not playing Lens because he can't Lens and do the Holy Wrath anyway this turn.
So why take fatigue?
So he would literally just take 1 extra fatigue damage in the game. No reason to whatsoever. And now... What's the do?
Like, why not just play the Weapons Project, though? I just don't
Especially 'cause they have
understand
two.
from SamuelTsao. Is he waiting for Harrison because he wants to be able to destroy the 2/3 as well? I would much rather just take 4 damage off the board.
I'd much rather not lose the game.
Yes.
Again, I feel like I don't... Okay, we're probably going in, right, by our comments. Fine. But I
I'm ready
feel
for a
like
fight.
it's a base... It's widely accepted that you Weapons Project their weapons. I feel like that is not some high-level,
Yes.
unheard of strategy.
Right, yeah.
That, you know, maybe, oh, a couple of players have found this out and it's the way to play, but other people haven't realized it
It's
yet.
what one does.
I think it's just the basics.
Yeah.
I'm out of cards.
We're going to say all this, and then SamuelTsao just dumps to Shaxy in the most insane way.
It does allow him to go Shield Slam on the same turn after the... Shivala comes down, I suppose. But yeah, honestly, I'm kind of grasping because I'd rather just have full health. Because now,
but now,
as we
how
can
does he
clearly
get?
see,
How does he get there?
There's nothing. He just can't climb out of range, right? Because Zephyrus is in hand, so it's not only 25 he needs to get up to. He needs to get up to 29 points of health in one turn from 8.
With only 10 mana.
That does not happen. Even like Nozari here wouldn't save him because there's still the Shivala. There's still a 1/1.
Yeah.
That would do it.
This footman's got this covered. Excuse me if you heard that, pod.
Gesundheit.
Danke.
A bit.
And I think it's just game, right?
I think so.
I'm worried that it's game and SamuelTsao has died with 2 weapons projects in hand. Of course, he drew the second one quite late.
Yeah.
But the first one,
It was just honestly, this game was just like more of a whimper than anything else. Like it didn't. It was anticlimactic if anything. Like SamuelTsao just
lost.
died. What?
he's just dead.
He's just so dead.
The only way he's not dead, 100%, is if Shaxy misclicks.
Play to the out there. Fine.
No, it's not an excuse. I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
yeah.
like, it is so one-sided that Shaxy would literally have to misclick to lose this game, and he's not going to. And he's going to book his spot. You see the fist bump, and you see some reaction now. Sigh of relief. Shaxy's going to make top 4 into playoffs. Gotta feel good about that, though.
Yeah, and honestly, yes, SamuelTsao did not deserve to win that game. Shaxy just played better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were focusing mostly on like what SamuelTsao could have done that game, I think, because Shaxy didn't do anything overly impressive, I think it's fair to say. He just played the matchup the way you're supposed to play it.
And honestly, in almost every matchup I can recall anyway, we as casters end up talking more about one side of the board than the other, because one side has the thing to do. Like, look at Holy Wrath Paladin, right? It's inevitable that they Holy Wrath you twice unless something really weird happens. And if that's the case, it's all about how their opponent either armors up, kills them quicker, so on, to beat the clock of double Holy Wrath. Like, and that's just how that matchup works. But maybe the hand was bad, maybe the draw was bad across the game, fine. But just that one turn of you can kill the weapon and take 4 less damage, or you don't, and you choose not to, I just don't understand it at all, because you always gain 4 health every single time. Because it's not as if he had loads of taunts and he was like, oh, I don't need to do it yet because he's going to swing it into a taunt. He just took 4 extra damage. But anyway, before we moan on too much, congratulations to Shaxy. Let's check out the standings. And I believe that is the last match of Division A. So there you go. Chonsu, Surrender, Shaxy, and Tyler in top 4. I will say that it is not in the correct order, because I believe that is in alphabetical order of the equal scores.
Yes,
because unfortunately that's just how our graphics work. Apologies. I am 99% sure, and we'll get that confirmed for you as quick as possible, that Tyler is actually 3rd place and Shaxy is 4th. I just think that the graphic just populates in an alphabetical fashion if the numbers are equal, which 86, 86, 86 are. So you can see like Surrender, Shaxy, whatever.
And in case you're wondering, ball control, we know it's not perfect, all right?
Yeah,
We're just doing the best
I'm
with
sorry,
what we
ball
got.
control. You have my utmost apologies. But that means that Division A is wrapped up. So your Division A top 4 going into playoffs next weekend are going to be Chonsu, Surrender, Shaxy, and Tyler, with Flurry just missing out there. So close, but so far. But we are going to be able to move on.